Hey everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and today we're doing some fall DIYs from Dollar Tree Supplies for 2023. And now, without further ado, let's get started. For this project, I'm going to be using a plunger handle. You can see I screwed off the actual rubber part of the plunger to use the handle only. A wood plaque from Dollar Tree, and this is a kind of a square one. You could use whichever one you want. And then 3 of these adorable little wicker baskets. They're really shallow, but super, super cute, that they also have in black and I think gray at the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is get those pesky little stickers off of everything, and the adhesive always leaves a sticky residue, so you could get that off with a heat gun or something, but I'm going to be painting over it. I'll sand it down a little bit just so that it's not showing through the paint, but it doesn't in the end. And then I'll take off the other tags from my baskets. And then I'm just going to take my plunger handle, put it in the middle of my plaque, and then I'm using a spade bit. This is a 3/4 inch spade bit, and I'm going to make a hole right in the middle. You could actually, after I did this, you could actually scooch it back a little bit towards the back, because the way we're going to be hanging the baskets from the plunger, it could stand to go a little bit further back, in my opinion. But hey, that's what these tests are for. So once I get my hole in there, I'm going to screw in my plunger. I had planned to add some E6000 and some hot glue to this, but it screwed right in there and stayed snug as a bug in the rug. So my original design, I was going to stagger these baskets, and so I'm using Michael J to help me hold them so I can see where I kind of want them. But in the end, you'll see I kind of changed that up too. So the next thing I'm going to do is paint my plunger and my plaque completely white. And while that's drying, I'm going to gather some pumpkins. I didn't have a lot of my supplies out yet for fall, so I'm just grabbing whatever I could find. So I'm going to take all of my mini pumpkins. I'm going to paint them with a base coat of my Waverly white chalk paint, just to get them started with the same base on all of them so that they're kind of consistent in the shading once I put some color on them. Now I'm doing all of this in neutral colors, but you can do some oranges, you could do your blues or greens, whatever your heart desires, to make it go with the colors that you're doing for your fall decor. So since I have my white paint out, I decided to use one of these little signs from a plaque from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to pull one of those off, pull those staples out with my needle nose pliers, and then I'm going to paint that white as well. So now I'm going to add my browns and beiges and kind of a gold tone to them. I'm trying to make them match some leaves that I'll show you in just a second that I picked up from Walmart last year. So I'm just going to go down all the creases of my little pumpkins and just kind of smush that in so it blends nicely. And this is such a fun process because there's no rhyme or reason. You don't have to be an artist. But once you have them all painted in the different tones of the beiges and browns, it just looks so fall and pretty when you place them all together. And then to give my sign a little rustic character and some distressing, I'm just going to take my sanding block and sand the edges. And then to give my pumpkins a little more cuteness, I pulled off a stem from, or a branch from one of my trees outside. It's not really a tree, it's more of a bush, but I'm just gonna cut one of those off and then cut it down with my wire cutters, pull out the plastic one from my pumpkins, and then I'll just replace it with one of these little pieces. And I just think that makes it look more realistic and super cutie patootie. So now to attach my baskets to my stand, I'm showing you here, they have a little bit of an irregularity where they sewed the cotton white part to the top of the basket. So I want to go on the opposite side of that to make my holes. And you can see here, I'm using a piece of scrap wood to punch through my basket, and I'm making 2 holes. And I'm going to use my screwdriver to do that. And then I'm going to take a nylon zip tie and run it from the back of my basket back out through through the other hole and then around my pole and into that opening where it attaches, if that makes sense. You can see what I'm doing here, but you do want to make sure that the opening of that zip tie is on the right side, because if you poke it in through the wrong side, it won't grip and it won't, like click into place. So you want to make sure that it's going the right direction. And then once you attach it to that back part of the zip tie, you're going to pull it pretty tight. I left it a little bit loose so that I could still move it around and get it into the position that I wanted, because I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted them staggered. I think if I would have gotten 2 more of these baskets, I would have gone all the way around, and that would have been perfect for my pole to be in the middle. But you'll see here, I'm going to change it up and put it into the front where they're going up and down. Again, that'll make sense in a second too. So whatever design you decide to do, you can do this process and it still works. So you can see here, I'm just cutting off the nylon zip tie excess, but how cute is this though with them staggered? That is a super cute look, and I'm going to fill them with some fall cuteness with some leaves. Those are the ones that I was telling you about that have a little bit of gold in them from Walmart. And this big old huge stem, I think was like $3.48 or something like that. That was last year. I don't know what they are today or if they even have them. But anyway, then I'm going to put some pine cones in one of the baskets and then my pretty little pumpkins in that top basket. And so you can see why I wanted to put that irregularity towards the front on this project, because the goodies that I'm filling it up with is going to cover that all up. And as I'm looking at this, I really like that staggered look. I end up showing you in the reveal when I put them all together up and down. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you like them staggered or do you like them up and down vertically like this? Anyway, now I'm going to take my little sign and I'm taking a Dollar Tree copper paint pen and I'm just going to write harvest. You could use your cutting machine to make whatever words you want. But again, here would be super cute if you were doing a Christmas one to put merry or bright or I don't know, anything you want that is Christmassy, or if you were doing Valentine's Day, you could put love on here, or I don't know, the possibilities are endless. And then to attach my harvest sign to the very top of my pole, I'm going to use a brad nailer and just pop that in. You do, however, want to make sure that you have it on the right setting so that it doesn't go too far through your wood, which I learned that the hard way. So I just pulled that out and replaced it with a shorter one, or, less pressure. So it didn't go all the way through. But look how cute this is. I love this so much, and it just has all of the goodies from fall. I think it's soft and works perfectly with my decor. I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. So I love shopping in the office and school supply area of Dollar Tree, and I found these super adorable black and white gingham or buffalo check, whatever you want to call it, these pencil holders. There's some business card holders and other organizational desk items that you can find there. I picked up 4 of them, and just because I love black and white buffalo check, I'm going to take these and make them into a fall decor piece. So the first thing I did was took some of Dollar Tree's wooden letters, and I'm taking the letters that spell out fall. And I'm going to paint those with my pumpkin Waverly chalk paint. And I just put those on an upside down piece of painter's tape. And because I haven't been crafting in quite a while, all of my paints are super dry. So I just stuck some on one of the Dollar Tree palettes that are, you know, replaceable. It's like wax paper. And I added some water from a little spray bottle that actually was my mom's glasses cleaner solution. Anyway, so just get that a little wet and then it goes on a little bit easier. And the good thing about painting on these palettes is, first of all, you can throw them away once they get used up, but also I can twist it around to get all the little nooks and crannies and the sides of my letters. So I'm just going to paint all of those completely orange. And then once I'm done with that, I'll set it aside to dry and then I can move on with my next steps. So I'm going to take a styrofoam block from the Dollar Tree and I'm just going to cut that down into 4 pieces and then hot glue each of those into my pencil holders with some hot glue at the bottom and then just pop it in there. Super cinchy. So I had these little brown tags from a birthday party that I had done. I had these left over and I'm telling you guys, I can find everything now that I'm super organized in my new craft room. So I'm going to glue the letters onto them, but I wanted to make them a little bit shorter. So at first I just cut them off, but then I decided just to give it to some more cuteness, I would use a ripped edge at the bottom. So I'm just going to pull those off, but you could make these out of any kind of cardstock or whatever color you want, but I thought the brown looked really cute and rustic looking. So once I tore the bottoms off all 4 of them, I'm going to hot glue my letters onto each one. And again, this is another project that you could use for different holidays or seasons. You could do a winter project where it said snow and then decorate it with some snowflakes and wintry looking greenery or pretty flowers of some sort. You could do Valentine's Day and put love on there. Christmas, you could do hope and put Christmas greenery in there. Again, this is so transitional for any holiday or season that you want to decorate for. And then to give my letters some highlights, I just took a white colored pencil and I'm just going to do the lefts and the tops of each of my letters. And I just made little dots in the corners and I didn't know what I was doing, but I just thought it looked cute. So on the buffalo check on the pencil holders, there is a line or a seam that I wanted to find and put in the back. It's not the end of the world if you don't, because it's really kind of camouflaged. But I'm just going to put a little bead of hot glue in the back and then wrap it with some twine. And every time I wrap around, I'm going to drag it through that hot glue so that it stays in place. And then I'll do a half knot in the front, or did I do a full knot? Yeah, I did a full knot and then fed my letter onto the jute twine and then I'll tie it again. And I'm never really sure if I want to add some beads or anything. So I leave the cutting off of that twine until the very last moment when I'm sure I want to just get rid of it. So I also wasn't sure if I wanted to do like crookedy little letters and make it cute and fun that way, but I do decide to put them straight. And so it just depends on how tight or how loose you tie that knot with that jute twine, if that makes sense. So now to fill my little vases, I'm going to use some fall Dollar Tree hydrangeas and some wildflowers. And then I only had 2 of these pumpkin picks they're so pretty. They're wrapped in like a velvety kind of material. So I'm just going to cut all of my stems down so that I can pop them into my vases. And then with my pumpkins, because there's only 6 of them, I'm going to tear them apart on the stems and then put 2 in 2 of my vases and then 1, the larger ones, in 2 of the other vases so that it's nice and evenly proportioned. So one of my least favorite things to work with in crafting is Spanish moss because it's so messy and gets everywhere. So I'm using a Dollar Tree tray that I use for anytime I'm using some kind of moss or messy stuff like that. Floral foam is another thing. Ugh. Anyway, I'm just going to put that at the base of my flowers to cover up that styrofoam, and these little pretties are all finished. And here it is, all done and set out in order to spell fall. I think this is so pretty, and this is a super, super easy project, you guys. I love black and white buffalo check, but I really love when you throw in that touch of orange. I just think that's so pretty and simplistic looking. I don't know, but I also love hydrangeas. I love pumpkins. I love wildflowers. I love it all. And I hope you guys like it too. So a while back, a sweet viewer, Anita Hicks from Red Oak, Texas, sent me these little clip frames, and I've held on to them, and I told you guys I'm getting super organized, and I was able to pull these out. I didn't see them for quite a while, and a couple of other people sent me some too, so I had a total of 8 to use for this next project. And then I was going to use this plank as the bottom of my box from Dollar Tree, but I'm going to end up changing that and use something else. So the first thing I did was pulled off the stickers off of the back and then the little kickstands off of my frames. Originally, I was kind of breaking it off at the hinge, but I thought, I could use these later in something because remember, it's not hoarding if you use it. And so I ended up pulling them off of the back cardboard piece of the frames, and then that way it still has the little hinge attached. Then because I had them stored for so long out in the garage, they were very dusty, so I had to clean them all up. And all I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you this project in 3 different finishes, but I'm going to attach 3 of my frames together for one side of my box, and then I'll do the same with the next 3, and then I'll have 2 on each of my sides. So I just used some E6000 and some hot glue to attach them together, and then used little clamps from the Dollar Tree to hold them while it was drying. And then I took some craft sticks, added the same mixture of those 2 things, and then stuck those on the back so that they would be nice and secure. Now for the bottom, I found this thankful sign just the other day at the Dollar Tree, and it's the perfect width for the bottom of my box, but this was the only one I got, so I really didn't want to waste it. And then if I would have cut it down, I would have had to deal with the frame and had to remove it. Anyway, it was too cute to waste it on this, so I have lots of these Hello Spring and, you know, just the flat signs that we see for every season at Dollar Tree, and it was just perfect. I decided to use this instead and give it a little lip on the front and back instead of having to cut it down that way as well. So I just marked where I'm gonna cut it to make it have that same overhang on the sides, because the little plank that I originally showed you guys was too skinny, because I made the fronts of my boxes completely flush, so my two side frames I put on the inside, if that makes sense, so that you don't see that extra edge on the front where you're mostly going to be looking. So I just took it outside and cut it down with my chop saw, and I realized, hey, this is a cute little piece that I might be able to make something with again. Anyway, I'm going to take my CRICUT spatula and get that paper part off of the sign, and then that way that just gives me a nice bottom. I'm going to use the other side for the inside of my box and then just attach it with that same mixture of E6000 or some kind of permanent adhesive, and then the hot glue will keep it in place for you and hold immediately. So we're almost done with the first option of how to do this box, but I found these pretty burlap roses or flowers at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use the clips to hold those in place. This doesn't even have to be fall. I had to kind of make it into fall because I think this is adorable for all year long and not just at fall. But the finish of the frames itself can just be left as is, and it's got that really pretty rustic look. I threw some lamb's ear inside, put my Bible on top towards the back, and then I hung a thankful sign above it. This isn't really where any of this goes. I'm just showing you guys an option. And I have my new sconces that I'm going to be getting in my haul once my electrician gets to it. That would be Michael J, by the way. So this is option number one. I love how this one turned out too, but I'm going to go another step. So really what had happened was I had 3 different ideas in my head of what I wanted to do with this box. So I'm going to show you all 3 of them. I think that's the most time-consuming part of any of my projects, is deciding which way I want to go. And when there's multiple options, which you guys always have multiple options to make it fit to your decor and your preferences, I kind of feel limited in just having to show you one and then tell you the other things that you can do. So this way I could show you exactly what I mean and not just explain it. So in my second option, I decided to make it a little more white. I'm still going to leave some of that frame showing from underneath so that it's still nice and rusticy and still a super easy project. So I took some burlap leaves and I'm just going to clip those in there. You can clip anything to this, and then you can also throw the lamb's ear back in there and do the same thing. Or you could take one of these thankful wooden signs from the Dollar Tree. Now, another thing I strongly dislike doing is painting these guys, because if you spray paint it, which would be so much easier, it kind of seeps through and doesn't have a good coverage. You can still see the MDF or whatever this is made out of. But I took it for the team and I'm going to paint it white because I knew what it was going to look like in my brain. And presto magico, it's completely white. So then I took a couple of dowels from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint those also with my Waverly White. And then I wanted to test out my size of a hole that I wanted to put into the bottom part of my thankful sign. This kind of goes awry. You want to do this very slowly. I ended up splitting the wood on one side, so just go very slow if you do this. But this way I can stick my dowels inside of my thankful sign and then into my box to stand up. So then, to add some more cuteness to my thankful sign, I decided to add a metal thankful sign, a sign on top of a sign. But I thought that would make it super cute, and I used some super glue to add that onto the front of my wooden thankful sign, and then I'll set that aside to dry. So then I took a couple of styrofoam blocks and I'm going to hot glue those into the bottom of my box. And I'm using these instead of floral foam just because my wooden thankful sign is a little bit heavy, so I want to make sure it stays snug as a bug in a rug. So I had made this cute little lamb's ear swag for a fall project from either last year or the year before that, but I kept it and I'm going to add that to the bottom of my thankful sign and attach it with some jute twine to those two dowels that are sticking out. And this is a really easy and great idea to add some fall cuteness to anything by just adding a fall swag. And I have a little burlap ribbon in the middle. I'll put that video in the description box below so you can see exactly how I made it. I don't even remember what it was for. Anyway, so now at the bottom of my box, to fill this one, I'm going to put some paper in there to kind of fill it up, and then add a bag of that Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree and just pull that apart and put it all along the bottom so that I don't have to use as much because this is a pretty deep box. And then once I get that in there, I'm going to fill this up with some Dollar Tree pumpkins. And all I did for that to make sure that they stayed in place was to add a little skewer from the Dollar Tree. Everything's from Dollar Tree, okay? So anyway, you know where it's from. But if I don't say it, you guys usually ask, where'd you get that? Anyway, I'm going to poke that into my pumpkins and then poke them into my box, and it's done. And here it is all finished. I think this is super cute. I love this version, and I like the white with the metal and the burlap, and I just think it's really rustic and pretty. So let me know if you guys like this one. I also would have sanded the thankful sign to give it that rustic look, but I'll show you why I didn't, because on my next one, I needed it to be completely white so that I could add some distressing in a different way. So for this next option, I'm going to pull everything back out so that I can show you. Now, I love the look of that rusty distressing against a really bright white. So what I'm going to do on this one is take everything out, including my sign, and I'm going to paint my box completely white, including the galvanized metal in the middle. I'm also going to take my little clips out because we're not going to be using those on this version. And again, once you guys see all three of these, you guys let me know which version you like best. I actually like all three of them and would have any of them in my house because they all kind of work, and they work with my colors in that neutral palette. And I am going to be using oranges and greens this year for my fall decor, and the browns and off-whites and everything. So anyway, for this one, once I get this all completely painted white with my Waverly chalk paint, I'm going to take some Mod Podge that I got from Dollar Tree and put that in a styrofoam plate, and then add to it some cinnamon so that I get this milky, I don't know, this is just rust to me. It looks like rust, and so that's what we're going with. And then when you count the smell, oh my gosh, the smell is so good. I love the smell of cinnamon. So I'm just going to take a brush and I'm going to go along all the sides and just get it all nice and rustied up. And then I'm going to go back and do my thankful sign. And then once I did the outside edges of the wood part, I'm going to go back in and do the little metal. So it's not quite so shiny, but looks like it's been out in the weather for a very long time. So then once I get all of my distressing work done, I'm going to set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to take this wooden cross from the Dollar Tree and use some fabric that I had left over. This was actually from 2 houses ago, and I had decorated this room. It was called our garden room, And then we brought home a souvenir. Her name's Kennedy, our youngest, so it became the garden nursery. So this is what her nursery ended up being decorated in too. So I'm just gonna take a pen and outline my cross. I'm gonna do that twice, cut it out. I'll just fold it over so that I get 2 crosses because I'm gonna cover both sides of my cross. I'm leaving it in the natural wood just because the sides aren't really gonna matter, but I just wanna get this onto the cross so that it has a nice finish, and then we get to the real reason why we are thankful. And then to get it onto the cross, I'm just going to use my Mod Podge again, brush it onto my cross, and then lay my fabric right on top. And then once my Mod Podge is completely dry, I'm going to take a sanding block and just go in and get those edges nice and cleaned up. And then any of the flyaway threads, I'm just going to cut off of my cross. So then to attach my cross to the back of my thankful sign, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it like cattywampus or straight up and down, so I decided to go with cattywampus. And so I'm just going to put it where I want it, flip it over, and then mark with a pencil where my glue needs to go so that it doesn't get everywhere, and so I would have a clean gluing job. And then I'll just add my hot glue and then attach my cross to the back. So now on each of my frames, I'm going to take that same metallic marker, and I Googled scriptures that have to do with giving thanks. And so I have a whole bunch of them, but I could only narrow it down to 8. So I'll have those linked in the description box below. I started using kind of a Ray Dunn font, and just because the letters were square and easy, and I was worried about the ups and downs of that galvanized metal stuff. So it turns out that I didn't really like it because it was harder to make those lines straight. So on the other side, I went with my cursive writing and just did a real simple cursive writing. Anyway, and so I think this is a fun way to, first of all, get some Jesus up in your house, and also to have a conversation, and you can go through the Bible with your kids or grandkids or whoever, yourself even, and go over the scriptures yourself and read them out loud at Thanksgiving or beforehand or whatever, just to get the Word of God flowing throughout your home. And that is always the best kind of home decor, I think, that a home can have. And then to bring in some more of that really pretty ticking fabric, I cut some little strips because I didn't have any ribbon in this, so I just made my own. And then I'm going to make sweet little bows and hot glue those to the front top of each of my frames, so it also covers those little holes where I took the clippies out. Those didn't really show once I painted them, but that was my plan, so I just stuck to it. So to fill our box, I have these beautiful Walmart mums that are 20 inches and they were $3.98 per bush. And so I'm just going to cut those all off with my wire cutters and start poking them in. And again, you can use your lamb's ear, you can use the moss with the pumpkins, whatever suits your fancy. But I think these are so pretty and the colors are just so fall looking and beautiful. So I'm just going to poke those in there and then add some moss around the bottom to cover up the styrofoam. You know what? I don't even think I did add any moss because they were so full, it covered it all up. I can't remember. Well, if anything shows, just cover it up with moss. But if it doesn't, why use it? So anyway, once I got those all poked in there, it was all done. And here it is all finished, and I love, love, love how this one turned out. It actually reminds me of our 23-year-old baby bonus Kennedy because of that fabric on there. And I love ticking. You know, it took 23 years for it to come back into style, so it's a good thing I kept it. I love these colors too, but let me know which one you think was your favorite or which one you might do. Super easy projects. It just took a lot of time to explain it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these projects. And if you did, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not already, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button down below as well as the little bell right next to it so that you can be notified every time I upload a brand new video. I hope everyone has a blessed day and remember to always be the light. Bye.